Learn how to build a better sign and print shop from a few crusty sign guys who've made more mistakes than they care to admit. Conversations and advice on pricing, sales, marketing, workflow, growth, and more. You're listening to the Better Sign Shop Podcast with your hosts, Peter Kourounis, Mike O'Reilly, and Bryant Gillespie.
Before we jump into the episode, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, GCI Digital Imaging, grand format printer to the trade. We talk a lot about outsourcing on the podcast and the importance of having good partners, and GCI Digital Imaging is a good partner to have. Owner TJ Bedacht and his team focus on providing killer customer service just the way grandmother used to make it. If you're interested in learning their approach to business, hop back into the archives to episode 9, where the guys and I interview TJ about customer experience. So if you're looking for a high quality trade printer for banners, wraps, and other printed graphics that your customers throw at you, check out GCI Digital Imaging at printgci.com. All right, guys, welcome to the next edition of the Better Sign Shop Podcast. As always, I've got my friends and colleagues with me. Peter Kourounis, the Sign Shop Yoda. How are you, Pete?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be back.
Yeah, glad to have you back. We missed you last episode. And we have the Sign Design Samurai, Michael Riley. Mike, how are you?
Is that what you've settled on for me, the Samurai?
Nobody has given me any new ones as of late. So the second somebody gives me a new one, you're gonna get hit with another one. I don't know what it's gonna be from. I've run out of nicknames myself. I'm just exhausted. Like I don't have any more brain power left to give you a new nickname. So somebody else, if you're listening to this, keep the nicknames coming. We want to keep Mike on his toes.
I'm having an identity crisis. I'm starting to freak out a little bit here. Every week it's a new nickname for Mike. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
That's good.
What's new with you guys? Pete, dude, what have you been doing?
Well, I've been really busy. I've been keeping myself busy in the franchise world. Also, meeting some new sign shop owners in the world, discussing franchising with them, discussing how to make them, strive for operational excellence. So I've been traveling, meeting new sign shop owners, helping them get their stride, hit their stride, and love the fact of trying to help as many people as I possibly can.
It sounds like you're really enjoying retirement.
Yeah. Throwing in the sign shop owner badge for sign shop consultant has been a very busy transaction, a busy transition, I should say, and it is very heartwarming and welcoming and humbling. I love that I get to meet people in different parts. I love that I get to go to different parts of the country. I've never been to Missouri, never been to Chicago, Georgia. So just meeting new sign shop owners, helping them in their operation, it's been really fun so far.
Missouri. Huh?
Exotic.
Very exotic. Mike, what have you been up to, man?
Same old for me. Trying to lay low and just stay busy. Opposite of Peter. Two very different life tracks, I think. Enjoying retirement as well.
Enjoying retirement. Yeah. Are you still staying up till 2 a.m. in the mornings designing stuff? Or you got that cut out now?
I don't know, man. I'm on a weird schedule. Like I tend to just kind of during the day poke around the house and work on house projects and respond to email anymore. It seems like my brain wants to design at night. So I sort of like start working on design work after dinner, and then I kind of go till I get tired, which is a weird cycle I'm trying to break, but it's really just kind of like my personality and not being so busy that I have to work until 2 a.m. anymore. Kind of got that under control.
Hey, speaking of your designs, we had a post where you put out a couple of examples of some of your most recent work mock-ups. And it's gotten a lot of praise, and especially in conversations I've had, a lot of people have shown were impressed by what you have put out there, including myself. But it was kudos to you.
I think I know which post you're talking about. I think I picked up 9 clients off of one Facebook post. So Yeah, I guess I need to do more marketing.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
A
weird how
sign
that
guy
works,
that
isn't it?
that actually does marketing. That's like
It's an anomaly, is
a
what it is.
penguin that flies or something, right? I was really struggling to come up with something there.
It's
Well,
a
I can
good
tell.
analogy. I
Yeah, I
like
can
it.
tell you guys what kind of fun I've been having.
Yeah, what have you been up to, Brian? Car
Um,
shopping?
car shopping again. So we just got my wife a new car. She had it for about 3 weeks, and some young buck decided to jump in front of her car on the way to work, and didn't end well for him. Didn't end well for the car. My wife is okay, thankfully, but we have totaled 2 cars in 2 months. So that's where we're at.
Now, just for my own clarification, because I'm a bit up north. When you say young buck, that's not a young kid. That's actually a young deer, correct?
That is a deer. Yes.
A
Yes.
Yes.
literal
Okay.
deer.
Just want to make sure that you didn't commit like a hit and run there.
No, I was being vague intentionally there, but yeah, no, it's just a young male deer that for whatever reason decided to play in traffic 8 o'clock in the morning. Not wise. He just did it.
I still can't get over the fact that she totaled 2 cars within a month of each other. Like that's I can't believe you guys still have insurance. Like I feel like your insurance company should have
Mm,
dropped you by now.
yeah. The cease and desist letter this week comes from the insurance company.
Farmers insurance.
The insurance is we've got really great insurance. Yeah, it's like the teacher insurance, horseman. So and like if you hit a deer and there's nothing you can do, it's considered an act of God. So they can't really penalize you for that, or at least that's what they told us.
That's
That's good.
that's very interesting.
I'm not saying go get like your truck and go hit deer on purpose, but just
Hey, Brian told me you guys were cool with this. So, like,
yeah. So that's what we've been wrestling with. Other than that, just staying busy with
so have
my
you guys
kids.
picked out a new car yet, or are you still trying to decide?
We're deciding. My wife likes nice cars, so we're looking at a Mercedes E-Class right now, used one, not a new one. But hopefully, by the time we record the next one, we'll have that sorted out because we got to take the rental car back tomorrow afternoon.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how sick and tired are you of shopping for cars right now?
I'm probably like an 8,
Oh,
and I
that's better than
enjoy
I
that
am.
Wow.
process. My wife
Oh,
is probably like at an 11. Just totally defeated. Like I feel so bad for her. You know, like you have the car that you wanted, and then a deer just jumps in front of you.
I'm actually interested. I have a question because I recently bought a couple of vehicles here, but I bought mine through an app because I hate the experience of a car dealership experience. I mean, we preach on how to sell signs here and how to coach people on how only selling signs. Do not do it like car dealers do. Like that to me is like the worst of the worst. But buying it through an app was actually very simple. It actually just got delivered here this afternoon on a flatbed. Like it was seamless. Have you tried that?
We looked at Carvana, but they wouldn't deliver it to our house because we live in Podunk, West Virginia. So we would have to drive 2 hours to pick up the vehicle, which is like at that point, it might as well. My wife hates it. Like I like to play that game, and I don't know why. Like
No.
it's probably something I need to go to therapy for. But yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'm sorry. I'd rather listen to people nickel and dime me over graphic design than ever have to go to a car dealership, used or new. That process is just, I feel like the moment you walk in the door, they're ready to bend you over. Like that whole process from beginning to end. And when you're finally sitting in with that finance manager, she's like hitting you with, do you want rim protection? Do you want wheel protection? Do you want extra years on your warranty? I'm like, I already signed away half my life and spent 18 hours here. I'm not looking to spend another hour with you talking to you about the what ifs. Well, we have really great dent coverage and really great rim. I was like, what the heck is road rash? Oh, road rash. Yeah, that's when your curbs run against the curb. Your car rims run against the curb. Doesn't that happen? It's like $400 a rim to fix. If you pay now, it's $89. Like, lady, Stop making my hair gray. And
Why
let's move
haven't I
on.
heard your impression of this lady, this unnamed car lady before?
Lorraine, her name is Lorraine. Her name is,
Lorraine.
it's not even Karen, it's Lorraine. It could be Beatrice, depending on the day of the week.
Reminds me of the secretary in Monsters Inc. You guys see that movie?
Yes, I don't know. I don't remember the secretary
Mike
part.
Wazowski. Mike
Yeah.
Wazowski. You know, would you like to add the road rash to your car warranty?
That's it. No, it definitely seems like an industry that's like just primed for somebody to come in and totally disrupt it. But it's amazing to me that nobody can or has yet. Like it's like it's the last holdout of moving to
CarMax,
streamlined.
Carvana, like
Carvana, TrueCar, like
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you buy a car through those apps, I think you'll have a much easier time. But if they don't deliver to you, then all right, you got to go into the dealership.
Yeah. So enough about the car shopping. Let's get into it today. Mike, I know you're a pretty hard fanboy of SignCraft magazine.
I'm freaking out over here. I'm freaking out. I'm like,
who do we got
about
on
to
the
shake
podcast
out of my
today?
pants.
Who do we got? We got him. Who is it?
We got him. Tom McIltrot of SignCraft magazine. Yeah, this is exciting. SignCraft was like, and still is to an extent, the the Bible of sign making for me. I mean, it just, what an amazing magazine that it is and was, and I've learned so much about the craft and the art of making signs, and all the skill that goes into it and the design. So for me, I'm like, I didn't sleep last night. Like I'm giddy with excitement to talk to this guy. Like you have
This
no
is
idea.
Mike's Christmas.
Yeah, it is, seriously, like Christmas in February.
This is gonna be awesome. All right.
No, this is it. Like this is the pinnacle of my career right here. Like I have peaked right now, and it's all downhill after this. So.
All right.
We'll never top it.
Let's bring him on. All right, guys. So we are back with Tom McIltrot of SignCraft. Welcome on, Tom.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, it's super nice to have you.
Yeah, we're really excited you're here. This is cool.
Great.
Hey, Mike said this was his Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had a sleepless night last night.
Yeah, I'm honored. So.
Like, hey, so many of us, like SignCraft, when we were coming up in the industry, I hate to date myself. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but like SignCraft was how we communicate, or like how we learned the trade was like, okay, yeah. I can pick up SignCraft. I've got these detailed articles with all the photos step by step of how to make this sign or how to design something or how to price something. And I know certainly I wouldn't be here today without SignCraft. So just thank you to get that out of the way.
Well, thank you very much. That's cool to hear. Appreciate that.
Mike, do you want to give your love letter now?
Same for me. I mean, when I started in the industry back in the mid '90s, I mean, just devoured every issue of SignCraft I could get my hands on. And I've still got, several hundred in storage. I need to dig those out and go through them again. I would say 80% of what I know about this industry I learned from your magazine.
Great.
It was the greatest thing ever. I mean, I loved it. I mean, all the way down to, like, I would even geek out over the paper and the print quality in it, which was just several steps above any other magazine out there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you noticed that. We were always proud of the stock and the print quality, and that was a big thing for us since it was a graphics magazine, visual experience. So we were kind of, that was important to us.
Yeah, it made a huge. I mean, we're all geeks about that kind of stuff in this industry, and it definitely made a huge difference. I mean, it's just the tactile feel of it when you flip through pages. I mean, it's a much more engaging, fun experience to read a magazine like that versus one that's printed on, like tissue paper. So,
right.
Yeah. So I feel like we like know the story of Tom through SignCraft, but I really don't know the story of Tom. So like, give us your background. Like how did you get started in the sign industry? How did SignCraft come about?
Sure. Well, like a lot of folks our age, I was in high school and whatnot, wanting to do something with my hands, something creative, and worked in a cabinet shop for a while, worked in a couple other kind of hands-on businesses. But one day I was on my way home from school, and there were a couple of guys, three guys, on a billboard in front of a new development and back in a field. So I swung the car off the road and trudged back there through the muck and got there and asked them, how do you learn to do this? And two of them said, oh, don't bother, it's too much work. And one guy told me, you just need to get some cool old sign books and start practicing, learn how to letter. Well, I missed that part. I got home, but I was still cranked about it. So I started thumbing through the yellow pages and calling sign shops and seeing if anybody needed help. So I got all the way to G. Two shops told me same thing. If you can't letter, we don't need you. We don't need somebody to sweep up. So, but I got to G and called Gene Signs, and Gene answered the phone. And as luck would have it, he had a young woman there through a DCT program at high school, part-time cooperative training person, and she had just quit. So I told him, he said, what can you do? I said, I'll do anything. I can paint boards, I can answer the phone. And so I went there, and he had a small traditional commercial sign shop. And I started hanging out there every day after school, even on days he wasn't paying me and didn't want me and didn't need me, and tried to make myself indispensable. I dug post holes and stuff, and we clicked pretty well. And so after about a month, one day after I punched out, he said, here, 1 minute, take a look at this. And he got a piece of yellow show card out and slapped it on the easel and gave me a number 6 quill with some dolphinite poster color and said, watch this. And he drew some lines with his yardstick, right across there, and lettered a bunch of one-stroke letters. And then he said, here, try. And so I did, and it was a god-awful experience, And I still have that first piece of show card somewhere, but that was it. I was hooked on making letters with a brush, so I just went home and built an easel in the garage and started practicing. So I was about 16 or 17 at the time, and I worked there for about 3-4 years. And I'm a native of Pennsylvania, so my family at the time returned. They moved back. They had only lived in Florida about 5 years. They went back to Pennsylvania, and in that same time, both of my older brothers, my older brother and my younger brother, wound up working at that same sign shop. It was growing like crazy, and by then he had about 6 employees, and of which we were 3 of, half the staff.
Right.
And we he had gotten into screen printing. We were printing real estate signs and T-shirts, and we were doing all sorts of flat signs, painted signs. So when we decided to move back to PA, we went up there and moved back to the small town that we were from, north of Pittsburgh, and there was no sign shop there. So there was no place to work. So we just figured, well, we'll open one. And so we went into the sign business, totally green. Like I say, I was maybe 20. And we made all the classic mistakes, worked there for a couple of years, and then decided Florida was a lot better place to live and work and everything. While we were there, we got in sandblasting signs, saw Big John Brissell's book advertised in Signs of the Times, and we blasted our first signs there in PA. And when we got back to Florida, it was a completely different market, much better market for blasted signs, and developments were popping up everywhere. And so we did that for a couple of years. And in between, we were all single, 3 of us, traveled around a lot. Whenever we did, we stopped in sign shops and would connect with people. We'd either get chased off or we'd connect with people, one of the two. So when we connected with folks, we often wound up sending photographs back and forth. And I was talking to Chester Cunningham at the time, who I'd met through Signs of the Times and seen his work there. And he hooked me up with Big John Brissell and some folks like that, Chuck Udapole and Bob Sealander, all old-time traditional sign guys who were at the top of their game. So they would send photographs to us. We would dupe them and send them to other folks we knew. And somewhere along in the line in there, one of us decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have a magazine just for sign painters, which is what we were primarily, at the time. So we kicked it around a little bit. We went to the library and photocopied 1,000 sign shop addresses out of the yellow pages. For some reason, the library had yellow pages for all the major cities there, and so we just got our dimes out and photocopied all the pages that we needed. We went home, typed up mailing labels, wrote a letter saying, here's what we'd like to do. It's going to be $9 a year. It's going to come out quarterly, and it's going to be a magazine for sign shops. It was a very self-serving thing. We did just what we wished was coming in our mailbox. So we sent it out. We got 88 people who sent us back, 88 brave souls who sent us $9 to give it a go, and that was it. We got started in 1980. Printed 1,000 copies of the first issue.
Wow.
Went back to the sign shop and slid them in envelopes and sent them away. And a year or so later, we sold the shop to some friends of ours. To get the cash we needed to start printing color. Color back then was incredibly expensive. Separations were $300 a page for an 8x10, and color printing then was really high priced. So, but there was an explosion coming that we didn't realize with print production was getting easier and more affordable. And so we just kind of grew right along with that. And a couple of years later, it was a full color magazine, and the subscription
history. Wow.
Yeah, the subscription numbers just grew. We were amazed. We were totally amazed. And the cool work that came in the mail, envelopes from like Raymond Chapman and Emmett Morelli, and they told other folks. And then I distinctly remember the day I got an envelope from this cat in Bloomington, Indiana, Gary Anderson, and slid his photographs out. And the one on the top was Bloomington Winery on the top of that stack. And it went on the cover of that next issue at the time. And it was just the start of a whole bunch of really neat friendships with really creative people who were amazingly willing to share what they knew. And we had worries about that initially, about, are we going to be able to get enough material? Are people going to tell us stuff? We had been chased out of sign shops, so we knew it. Sometimes it was a touchy subject trying to.
What were those conversations like when you guys went into a sign shop? Like, you just cold walked up to somebody else's sign shop? Was
sure.
Like, hey, we're sign guys. Can we hang out and chat?
Yep. And I remember going to one in Vermont, Dick Flynn. He's gone now, but he was a really cool guy, a great sign carver and a good solid sign painter. We walked up to his shop, and he was out front lettering a truck, and he worked from studio in his home. And so while we were talking, he kind of reached up and pulled the overhead door down to the shop, so we couldn't quite, it was like in the old days we used to say, oh, another sign guy, hide the patterns, hide the work orders. But we went on to become great friends, and Dick was a big proponent for us, encouraging us to do SignCraft. He was a great guy, but it's really probably not too different than it is now for you guys visiting sign shops. Some shops are very open and very motivated, and they're excited about what they're doing. They want to do new things. And other shops are more in a niche. They don't really want to maybe do any experimenting. They don't really want to talk about the work. So we just always were able to connect with droves of those folks who were really energetic about what they were doing. And it was inspiration. It juiced us up and drove the whole thing. We really didn't do an awful lot of promotion, but by the early 90s, when you guys, I guess, would have started seeing it, it was going to 22,000 sign shops in 74 countries, I believe it was.
Wow.
And it's an incredible little niche of really creative, inspired people.
Did you ever have any trouble getting content for the magazine from people, or were people just beating down your door to submit?
Right. No, the first 3 issues we had to work pretty hard at. And Chester Cunningham was still alive then, and he said, Tom, you're not going to get information. There's not enough of the people who are really enthused about the work, and you're not going to get a steady flow of articles and material, photos and stuff for articles. But it didn't pan out. It actually went the other way. And even to this day, I have the exact opposite problem. I always have to suffer through sorting out what I'm going to use now, because there's this massive amount of work that I'm aware of, or people have shared with me, that I want to get in the magazine. It was murder in the print days, especially because, we'd have 4 to 6 pages for a profile, and that was maybe 14, 16 photographs, and somebody would send you 90 pictures, or 40 pictures, and you'd spread these all out, and it's like, oh no, use this one. No, we got to use this one. So it's like it was always tough, but man, it was fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
So who? This is probably a hard question to answer. What was your favorite article you ever ran in the magazine? Do you even
hmm,
remember, or have there been
yeah.
so many that it's like
Oh,
impossible to choose?
there have been so many. I think I enjoy the design-driven articles the most, probably, because I think that's what created SignCraft was the idea that an individual sign person had their own style and they could create this cool stuff, and it gave them something to sell beyond letters on a board. You know, there were a lot of guys back then doing hand lettering, but a lot of it was just functional kind of stuff. But then when you started running these creative people, like God Almighty, Bob Bohonik, Tom Kelly, all the folks in New Jersey, Glenn Weisgerber, Bert Quimby, names of those, there's so many of those folks that really every one of those articles became a favorite. It was like all that energy from those creative people. So
I remember. I think one of my favorite issues you guys ever released was like mid late '90s. It was kind of a spotlight on all the Jersey guys, and it was a whole issue about Jersey style lettering. And that, I mean, I still draw inspiration from that to this day, even though that style is really like kind of stayed back in the '90s. There's
right.
it, what an amazing wealth of knowledge and information just that one issue had from those guys. It was
Yeah.
really really cool.
Hey Tom, I welcome to the show. I just wanted to introduce myself. We've never met, but big fan. I was very pleased to see that we were able to get you onto the show here, and I'm so happy that you answered Mike's last question in that way, because that's really what resonated with me and this magazine. I couldn't wait to talk to you about this, so it's a good segue into this topic here. Design. For me, the magazine was a godsend to learning what others were doing around the country.
Yeah.
Just being introduced to different artists and different concepts and ideologies and methodologies of doing things, and what software they did it in, and this is what was the before, and this is how they got to the after. That's what I looked forward to the most. I don't have a collection of your magazines that are in storage like Mike does, but I kept a large amount of selection in my lobby of all of my locations. It was a requirement for my franchise. Almost every one of my locations had a subscription to your magazine, so that they were in the lobbies of their locations as well. And customers loved reading it. I think it was a really great value add from a customer experience. Like, hey, this is what maybe you can be inspired by perusing through this magazine. You like that word, right? Perusing. Perusing through that magazine to get some inspiration, right? Because the average consumer doesn't really know what they want. So if you can reference examples of sign shop owners across the country, I mean, I used your magazine as an asset, as a tool in my tool belt. And just from my own perspective, in being introduced to different designers with their portfolio and showcasing their work has pushed me to be a better designer. And I'm sure you hear this a lot. I'm sure you get this a lot. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, we do hear it a lot, and it's always good to hear it. It's SignCraft, we were able to be a clearinghouse for all that good stuff. That's what I think the significant thing was. And so many people have told me that, and we realized this when we were starting to get all these photographs of cool work from other people. When a customer is standing there and is telling you, I need a sign, to cut to the chase, it's so good to be able to show them a few things and narrow that sign that's in their head down to what there's appeals to them, or what they're thinking, or what their budget is for. And so a lot of folks have told us that they use the magazine that way, because it kind of really, when a customer looks through a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen photographs, something's going to flip their switch. And so you can kind of, where to go, because it's like Ken Millar used to say when people said that, I need a sign. He said, well, you come to the right place. I can make you one for $20. I can make you one for $20,000. So all we got to do is figure out where you are in between. So yeah, and Peter, you probably realized this too from the magazine. Wasn't it amazing to unearth all those kind of regional sign styles. We didn't realize there was this going on at all when and so for us it was an education as we went along to see the Chicago school, of the Chicago designers, and to learn how those guys had gone to California in the 50s and created another whole West Coast style that was happening there. The Jersey work, the traditional carved New England hand carved gold leaf signs that were all over New England. It's like I had never seen one of those in real life until I got to Vermont. And here they were on every store, from a hardware store to a B&B. But that was really that genre, there in the Northeast. And then San Jose, which Mike Stevens built his whole approach around, that was another whole design school. So there's probably 8 or 10 U.S. design schools like that, I think, that we could identify. But
Yeah.
and
You're like the sign historian almost.
I just got exposed to a lot of cool stuff by a lot of inspiring people, and I'm really grateful for that and to have known these folks. And so much of it back then was definitely not like this. We did it over the phone and through handwritten letters and notes and stacks of pictures wrapped up in pattern paper that showed up in the mail. So it was a pretty vibrant time, especially because there were a lot of, besides that group of people who were sharing this stuff, there was armies of folks like you guys who were hungry for it. And pre-internet, there weren't a lot of places to get that information. There weren't any, really.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So,
Right. And they like the Mike and Pete and I talk about the early days of like Signs 101 and like some of the sign specific forums that popped up when the internet came around. And it was very much that mentality, like you mentioned, of like, hey, I come walking into these guys painting on a billboard, and I'm like, hey, I want to get into this, and everybody's like, no, get out of here, like go get a real job, like you don't want to
Yeah.
be a sign guy.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what that was like before the internet, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I remember one cool old sign guy in a sign shop in Pennsylvania putting his arm on my shoulder and saying, "Son, go be a barber. That's where the money is." So,
In hindsight, do you wish you would have taken that advice?
no, needless to say, I'm really happy with how things went here. I'm really grateful to have bumped into this and all these cool people, and to have been able to share it really with folks around the world. Got a really nice letter email the other day from some folks in Amsterdam who have a bunch of the old magazines. I have no idea where they got them, and really loved, just wrote to say how much they loved it and how helpful it was. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So,
yeah, everything that is old once becomes new again. We put
Yeah.
we've got a Facebook community for sign shop owners, and the other day I posted like, give us your take on the future of the industry, and a couple people came back and said, hey, like gold leaf is coming back. Like these craft, the craft of signage is coming back. You've had like a front row seat to the industry over the last 30
42 years.
40 years. Yeah, 42. I was thinking like 1980. I was like, man, that's
Yeah.
like what kind of like big shifts have you seen? Have you like, oh, hey, this is like a changing of the industry?
Yeah. Well, the computer, of course, rewrote things for all of us, not just the sign industry, but for the printing industry and everything. But I think there was like a renaissance time there in the 70s, 80s, 90s when people were really interested in kind of doing things with their hands and having a business where they were kind of in full control. They talked to the customer, they did the cool design, they carved the letters, they laid the gold leaf and planted it, And so, but I think that's harder to do now. There are still folks doing it. It's the cost of living and the cost of shop space and everything, the cost to get into the sign business have all gone up exponentially. Before it was just a matter of a box of brushes. And so I think that the big difference is that we've gone to this full digital thing. And I just did an interesting article with Shane Durnford, who who started out as a sign painter, became a sign carver because vinyl was coming in, did sign carving and workshops and everything up in Canada for years, burned out, took a hiatus, and has come back to carve incredibly beautiful signs and probably host some workshops again.
Just to insert something here, if anybody listening has never seen Shane's work, look him up and prepare to have your mind blown. Like, talk about
Yeah,
unbelievably talented guy. Like, this guy is one of the most incredible sign makers I've ever seen.
yeah. ShaneDurnford.com. Another website we could share with folks to check out is solosigns.com. Lane Walker's Reno sign shop, who is just that. He works alone, works solo, hand lettered, letters everything. Some incredible truck work. Is leaving that shop every day. So there are a lot, and it gives me an idea actually for a cool article sometime, is to collect all the websites that folks really should start visiting, because there's just a tremendous amount of mind-blowing work there to check out. But like I say, I can see it in folks like Shane's career, that some of these folks are coming back to us, or coming back to hand lettering and carving and whatnot, and they've found a niche again with part of the business community that values that, like tattoo parlors, barber shops, cigar shops, coffee shops, pubs. There's a market for creative handmade signs again, and if somebody's really into more of a production mode, and they're into want to do printed, or want to do electrical, there's so many opportunities there too. So,
Mike, what do you like? What's your take on this, man? Like, we've beat the dead horse a couple times of where, like, this is why you got in the industry, was to do the nice signs. Like, do you see them making a comeback?
I do. I think that when I got into the industry in the mid '90s, I think that was kind of right as the computer and vinyl cutters and everything were becoming pretty mainstream. I mean, they're pretty attainable for every sign shop, and that definitely shifted the trajectory, I think, of the industry as a whole.
mm-hmm.
We talked about this a little bit with Dan Antonelli when we had him on the show about there's very little barrier of entry to the industry, right? I mean, if you've got 30, 40 grand, you can buy a plotter and a printer and, computer, and you're in the sign industry. And it's funny, Tom just said, back then, and you $50 in brushes and you're in the industry, right? But the barrier there was you got to know how to use those brushes.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
a huge.
That's a part. Yeah, you didn't say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference there.
It's pretty easy to spot, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Well, that guy doesn't know how to use. You can't really spot the guy that doesn't know how to use his Roland, but you definitely can spot the guy who doesn't know how to use, a lettering flat.
Very true.
And so I got into the industry and wanted to do the types of signs that SignCraft featured. I mean, that was like pornography for me. Like, I can't put this down. I can't. I have to make this stuff. I have to learn how to make this stuff. And I did, and I found out really quickly that, at least where I was, the market for it was dying out. It was really hard to sell hand carved, high end gold leaf signs in Dayton, Ohio, where everybody really wanted going out of business banners. And I think that now, 20 plus years into that whole quote unquote digital revolution in the sign industry, I think people have finally started to wake up and realize that these are only tools, and they don't really do anything other than what you tell them to do. And I think that people are starting to recognize that, yeah, technically it's a sign. It says my business name, but it's not. There's no artist. There's no craft to that. There's no art in that. And I think people are really wanting to see a return to that. And a lot of the signs that I'm designing, especially in the last few years, have really taken a shift towards craft in it, and wanting to see something that's not just a flat digital print slapped on a piece of dye bond or something. I think it's still got a ways to go, and I do think that, and the post you were talking about on the Facebook group, Brian, I mentioned this in a comment. I think that, as weird as it sounds, it's really easy for all of us to kind of talk down on the current, young generation Z, I think it is, whatever it is. But those kids they grew up with, they don't have any reference other than the internet, and they're in that younger generation. It's interesting, they're recognizing the value in handmade things that I think a couple generations prior to them don't quite see, because that we experienced that transition from handmade to digital, and so we're almost blind to it. But this young generation, they didn't experience what it was like before digital, so they see this, and there's a massive nostalgia value to them. Like, look at
Hmm.
this, is so cool. It's before my time. This hand painted, hand carved gold leaf sign is so much cooler
Yeah.
than this digitally printed sign. So I think it's coming full circle. I think that vinyl and digital are starting to settle into their place and not be, and just become seen as a tool or a means to an end. And I think, and I'm seeing a lot of people really being willing and interested in paying a premium for that quality handmade look. And I hope in the
Yeah.
next 10 years that really becomes the dominant thing again. I don't know if it
Yeah.
will,
Oh,
but
that'd be cool. Yeah, it'd be cool. But you already see it in, I think, like in restaurant interiors and restaurants and pubs interiors,
mhm,
coffee shop interiors. There's a lot of interest in using signs as like decor,
mhm,
and they want them handmade, for that stuff.
Mhm.
And
yeah,
so that I think there's some interesting trends there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
fun.
It's interesting how it's gone from such a utilitarian thing to actually being a desirable almost piece of art. I mean, it is art,
Mhm.
depending on how you
Yeah.
define art. And I think people are finally starting to recognize that again. I think it was true in the past, and I think it'll be true again. I hope, anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So, hey, Tom, we've talked about, hey, kind of the current state of affairs, like, and where we wanted to go. What's your take on the future of the sign industry? Like, where do you see everything going?
Hmm. Well, I think really to echo what Michael's saying, I think there's as long as the economy stays strong, there's going to be a market for creative signs, and that gives a leg in for the folks who want to have that type of focus for their business. There's no doubt it's easier in like tourist markets or urban markets. It's like Mike was saying, Dayton, Ohio. I came from Western PA, north of Pittsburgh, Rust Belt city. It was very hard to get anybody to turn loose of any money
Hmm.
for a sandblasted sign. But when I got back to Fort Myers, when we got back to Fort Myers, the real estate development exploding and the beaches becoming much more with a lot more tourist traffic. It was easier to get folks to write a check for something cool. So it's I feel bad for folks who are in a market where it just isn't happening yet, or maybe never will happen. So they'll have to kind of sprinkle those cool signs that they love doing in with the more functional stuff they do. But at the same time, even the everyday, bread and butter signs, the design side of it can keep you enthused and energetic. A lot of the sign painters I worked with in the early days there, they really never had an opportunity even to do gold leaf. I mean, nobody was doing gold when I was 20 years old. I actually had to learn it from an old retired sign painter that I read an article about him in the newspaper, and I went and pestered him and got him to show me how to do glass gold, and it was kind of like a novelty for him, and his name was Chet Board, and he said, it's like, why do you want to do this? Nobody's going to ever gild their glass windows, gild glass again on windows because companies move too often, and names change too often. He said, before, if you lettered a bank window, it stayed there until the window broke or the lettering fell off. The bank was just going to be there. But so that turned around. I mean, look at all the cool barbershop and tattoo glass gold masterpieces that are being done. And I hope everybody's getting paid for their time. But I know they're having a good time doing it because we can tell, right? We can tell when
Yeah.
we look at their work. But I think there'll be some of that. I think the emphasis is going to have to go back and continue to go back to design, because really, in most shop situations, that's what we're selling, especially with computer equipment. Kind of yeah, right.
Yeah.
Computers level the field as far as the production side. And so if you stay with just how fast and how cheap you can produce signs, it's mud wrestling. It's no fun there. And there's always going to be somebody at the flea market or in their garage who is totally inexperienced or maybe has other source of income who will do it for less. So competing on that edge is always messy. Whereas if you beef up your design skills and you have something to offer on the design side that the customer can see with your portfolio or on your website or your Instagram page, it's like, hey, this guy or this gal, whoever it is, can do what I need and give me that edge. I think there's more business owners who are kind of looking for that now. And there's still folks who are going to come in and say, this is what my nephew designed. This is what I want. And I really do want the letters right out to the very edge of the board. So, and you have to decide whether you're in the position to say, thanks, but there's a shop across town who will take care of you, or like somebody told me recently, just close my eyes and click print.
I'm glad that you said that about design, Tom. It's something that I'm every time I get the opportunity to preach that to people in this industry, I do. I think, and I think with the rise of computers and digital technology, I think a lot of people in this industry have lost sight of the fact that we are in the design industry, we're in the marketing industry, and our customers don't care about how the signs are made; they care about how it looks. And I think that, like I just said a minute ago, with that rise of technology, it's allowed people to get into the industry that don't have the design chops to to produce what the customers are wanting. And I think the late 90s and the early 2000s were kind of a sad time for the industry, where everything was, whatever, font bundle came with Sign Lab or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think, sorry, did I?
Arial,
Yeah.
Helvetica. What's the other one?
Olive Nord. Everything was
Yeah.
antique olive. Yeah, or Euro style. That was a good one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
If you wanted something modern and contemporary, I think that, and I think that's something that SignCraft did such a great job of was putting that first. All the other sign industry magazines, they, all of them kind of touch on design, but really they're much more manufacturing and business driven, which is fine, and that's all super important, obviously. But
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
you did such a great job of making that point that the design is the front line of what we're selling, and it's the first thing people see, and it's the last thing they react to after their signs on their building, and the emphasis has to be that. And even like Bob Bohonik, did I say that right? Bob Bohonik.
Yeah. That's
Even his
Mahoney.
articles,
Yeah.
I mean, they were amazing. I mean, this guy taught me to think about how I'm laying out a for sale banner or
Mhm.
a job site sign or something, and not just straight line black and red Helvetica, but actually put some serious thought into the layout on a a 4x8 site sign.
Mhm.
And like that was such an eye opener for me, that it doesn't have to be boring and plain and black and white
Yeah.
and look like every other sign.
And the cool thing about design is once you get those chops, once you get those fundamentals, you can
You got to
you
jump, Pete.
can you got a question, Pete?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Hey, Tom,
That's all right.
very nice to meet you, sir. I got to jump out, but I just wanted to tell you, I just wanted to ask you one question,
Sure.
and then I have to jump out, but I can't wait to hear the answer. You mentioned the design. Mike and I raised our fists in the air in celebration for that. It's a matter of where can our listeners, the people that are listening to this podcast today, where can they go to, in your experience, from the resources where can they go to like propel their design skills? If design is what we're selling, what would your response be to someone that says, how can I take my design team and like elevate what we're currently doing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough question, Peter, because there's really not one single source. Probably the closest thing we have to it is Mike Stevens' book, Mastering Layout, but it's a little bit of a complex read. It's a challenging book to read sometimes. That the principles are there, the fundamentals, and then I guess the next best source I can think are all the things that people have shared in SignCraft. All the kind of, and the nice thing about the articles were they were just like nuggets. You didn't have to sit down and digest a whole encyclopedia of information. You could get one thing, like Bob say all the articles Bob wrote about on simplicity and on using script. And I think it's best to learn those things one little bite at a time. We've been doing a series of articles on the site lately on individual aspects of design. Like last week, I think it was using message blocks to break up and control copy. A few weeks before that, we did negative space. And so those kind of, learning about it a little bit at a time is, I think, easier than trying to take it all in and then critique your own work against it. That's always hard. There probably need to be more workshops by outstanding designers on how design works and learning the fundamentals. There was a bit of a design drain on the industry when computers came along, because we lost some people to like web design and graphic design, where there was you make a better living over there and do some cool stuff
Sure.
still. And so we lost some of that, but I do think there's a lot of folks who have returned and are doing interesting work that we can still pick their brains and see why they do what they do.
So hopefully this isn't like a painful question to answer. I
Mhm.
apologize if it is. How do you feel about the state of publishing right now? Obviously, you've moved SignCraft online,
Mhm.
which is painful for me, honestly. Like I hated to see that. Like I said, I mean, just the tactile quality of the magazine was a huge part of the
Yeah.
appeal. How do you feel about that? Uh, how
Well, you can imagine after 42 years of print print publishing, what a shift it was for us, and it cannot we cannot call it the same.
Mhm.
There, it's a drastically different way to deliver information. You know, before it was a matter of designing spreads and designing the whole magazine so that as you went through it, you found what you needed, and maybe you learned something that was unexpected, in the next article, and then we always tried to maintain a mix of like some 3D work and some truck lettering and some flat signs so that there was a little bit of everything for everybody. That's impossible to do on the web. We do our 2 or 3 articles a week, and we can't really choreograph like you can with a print magazine. To me, print will always be king. A great way to deliver information. It's a tremendously portable source of information. You can take it out on the porch with a cup of coffee and fold down corners
Yes.
of the
Yes.
pages and come back to.
Gosh.
And I can never, half the time I can't find the article that I'm plundering through my history sometimes looking for something I
Mhm.
saw a week ago. But with a print magazine, like I say, fold a corner down, put a post-it on it, come back to it later. So, and I hear that I hear all day long. A lot of our readers are older readers who have been kind of begrudgingly dragged along into the digital world. So, um, but um,
you
but
know?
Yeah.
it is what it is. It for us to see that. I mean, even the printing companies that we used which were big Midwestern web printers who printed and mailed small circulation magazine like ours from the center of the country to take advantage of the postal rates from coast to coast and stuff. Most of them have folded or merged with other companies. It's a literal bloodbath
Mhm.
in the publishing industry that's happened, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to come back. There are successful special interest magazines that people are doing now that are more, they call them bookazines, more or less. They don't really go out of date with the cover date so much. They're on a single topic maybe and whatnot, and those will probably be around. Those will survive. But as far as the serial publication where somebody's banging it out every other month or every month, that's getting harder and harder to do. And some things you just miss terribly, like where's the cover picture? Where's the cover photo? You know?
Mhm.
So very often, somebody will send us a link to some photos and we'll flip through there and, Dennis will look over my shoulder and say, oh, there's a cover, but there is no cover.
It's, it's,
So,
it's definitely not the same.
yeah.
I was talking to Mike the other day, and I was like, my wife is a deer has hit her car. The car's totaled, and we've been car shopping all day. But
Mm,
I had got I got a physical catalog from a sign supplier that was like 150, 200 pages thick, and I thought those were dead. And it was like, okay, like at least there's one bright spot,
yeah.
because along with SignCraft, like looking through all the catalogs of like sign suppliers was like how you found out about new products and things like that. Like,
Right.
oh, hey, I've never tried this particular
Yeah.
vinyl or whatever before. So
There's no doubt we made a tremendous amount of progress thanks to the internet and how we can share information and connect and everything. But at the same time, some really good things were lost in the shuffle. The tactile experience, the way to be able to refer back to stuff is easy. And in print magazines, the articles often took on a life of their own because people returned to them and they also referred to them in future articles and stuff. And you could make that connection. Digital information doesn't have that kind of life. Really the articles we do now, kind of in a few weeks, they're kind of just back there in the archives, on the web page, and
yeah,
so you don't have that kind of reaching back to, like somebody sent me a picture of their stack of SignCrafts a year or so ago, and they were dog-eared beyond recognition. They were, you could barely tell that I mean, some of these were from back when we were saddle stitched, had staples in them, and the staples had long since given way, and it was just this pile of pages. But man, I thought when I saw this, man, somebody had a really good time here looking through all those.
That's awesome.
They got swiped some ideas and sold some jobs, and that's cool.
What's cool about magazines that I don't think a website or online magazine will ever be able to accomplish is when you get a copy of SignCraft, a printed version of SignCraft, you're going to read it cover to cover. You're going to look at every single page. And there's going to be articles in there that you might not otherwise have read, but because it's right there, you're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. Jersey style semi-truck lettering. I'll never letter a semi-truck in New Jersey, but I'm still going to read the article because the pictures are pretty and I'm going to learn something from it. And I think when that kind of information moves online, nothing forces you to stop and pause and absorb that information for a second. You're going to click on what appeals to you, what you're looking for, and the rest of it's just going to kind of become background noise. And I think that losing that, I think, is the saddest thing for me, because that's how I learned so much. Wasn't like, okay, I'm only going to read this article in this issue, but I'm going to read the entire damn article, the issue from front to back, multiple times, like you said. And then mine look the same way. Like a lot of mine are just destroyed because I've gone back and reread them cover to cover every time, because I'm looking for one article, but I'm going to read the whole thing when I open it up. And that just it soaks into your brain, and in a way that online content just never will be able to. And that's what I think bums me out the most.
Absolutely, Mike. That was so well said. That was that's worth watching this podcast over for what you just said, because it's actually, and I've read some about this. I've read a lot about it, that it's changing how we read and how we think. Online information changes how we read. You'll notice things have gotten shorter and shorter. A lot of people are saying 200 words is like the 2-minute YouTube video. They say, if your YouTube video runs over 2 minutes, you lose X number of percentage of your viewers. So the attention span is getting smaller, and it forces people to write differently and to kind of jam all the information early enough in the article that rather than have it like a meal where you could give somebody their little appetizer, then a little bit later serve them the main course and finish up with dessert. You kind of got to slop it all on one plate now in the first 200 words and try to get them to, and hope they'll stay with you for the rest of it.
Right,
and it has to be bulleted. Yes. Well, just from my own experience, I'll tell you, like, I've written for several industry magazines at this point, but it's for all online content, and very frustrating to try and jam a topic into 500 words, especially like something that you're passionate about and you feel like there's not enough information out there. It's very difficult to do, but that's, like you said, that's the attention span at this point. It has to be bulleted. You've got 300-400 words to teach somebody something, but you can't. How do you do that?
Right. And when you're writing for search engines, you've got to repeat phrases so many times and all that stuff. It really changes the tone of the writing and the feel of the writing. So yeah, it's a big loss in that regard.
So Tom, what can we all do? What can I do to get SignCraft back in print? Will it ever happen? Can we make it happen? Can we start a Kickstarter or something?
I don't know. I have had so many requests like that. Like I don't know. We've thought about revisiting revisiting print as either like an annual or a semi-annual magazine, and so that there's always the possibility. For one thing, we love doing them, so that's the greatest impetus. And I believe that there are enough of us out there that value print that we could get an audience. So it's not outside the realm of possibility, but it's.
Let's set up a pre-order right after this, Mike, for the annual edition of SignCraft.
Honestly, like if you even just did like an annual you know, 300-page bound book, you know, something with a hardcover
Hmm.
that was like a collector's item, I would totally
Yeah.
pay several $100s for that, like without even thinking about it. I mean, it would,
Well, thank you.
and I'm not alone in that. I know that a lot of people would, and
Yeah.
I'd pony up a couple $100 a month or a year for a subscription to, you know, a quarterly publication as well. I mean, I just,
Uh-huh.
I think there's a lot of people out there that are just absolutely desperate for that and missing that. And I know, like, it's a tiny industry, and no matter how much we're all willing to pay, it'll never overcome the hurdle of you know, the current state of publishing and how expensive and difficult it
Yeah.
would be to recreate a magazine like SignCraft, you know. But man,
Right.
I wish you would do it.
Well, it would be fun, and like I say, I'll keep it on the table here for us. So um, the
Yeah.
you know there's just something about, and I mean all of us had special interest magazines that we got back in those days. If you fished or if you were a photographer or whatnot, and so waiting for that copy of that magazine, whether it was SignCraft or Popular Photography or outdoor sports, American Sportsman or something. Waiting for the magazine was part of the deal. You know, getting the mail that early in the month and expecting to find your magazine there, and then you just kind of squirrel it away and save some time that night to start flipping through it. So
Yeah.
it'd be fun to help revive some of that.
Well, if you ever decide to, and you need some extra manpower, you let us know, because we will be there with bells on to help you, or at least I
That's
will.
pretty
I
cool.
guess I won't
Well,
speak for
Yeah,
both,
yeah,
yeah,
but I will.
yeah. No,
yeah,
no. It,
that's cool.
yeah, I've got three little girls to think about, but yeah, if I my dad, well, you guys are on the other side of Florida. My dad's in Pensacola, but yeah, I think we can make it work. I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll move to Florida. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
There we go.
If
Get
Mike
some.
is going to go to Florida, you know we're doing something now because Mike hates the balmy weather down there.
Not a big Florida person, but I would totally
Yeah.
do it in a heartbeat if that opportunity ever came along.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I can
cool.
tell you, a hurricane like that last one will make a lot of people not Florida people, especially some of those of us who were here for it. So, but maybe the Florida reputation has been seriously tarnished there with that. So,
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this feels like a pretty good closing point, guys. Tom, is there anything you want to say to the audience before we sign
no,
off? Like any
I might have.
advice you want to give? Like,
I guess I do. I guess I
go
do.
ahead.
There's a secret that I've heard over and over again from sign people about being successful at this, and and that is show up. You'd be surprised how many people I've told that we published a magazine for sign people, whose their comeback was, sign people. I called 4 sign shops before I could get one to come over, or I went and talked to a guy. He never called me back. You know, that is bad for business and it's bad for the industry. And so, really, customer service is critical. And the whole under promise and over deliver concept. The shops that I know who are most successful, they nail it on the customer relations and that idea of delivering stuff on time or ahead of time, and it contributes to their success. So I think everybody, that's a little secret I think that I've heard over and over again that it could work in everybody's favor. And you can charge more when you do that. When you meet people's needs, I think now more than ever, when you satisfy customers and meet their needs, you can charge for it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's it's so simple, so understated, but it's like hugely important what you just said. Like,
yeah, it
just
kind of
like
almost,
show up, answer the phones, call people back, do what you said you're
yeah.
gonna do. It's
Yeah, it goes without saying. It's kind of like look back to when you were first in business, and the phone wasn't ringing, and somebody did call all the way across town for a sign for a hot dog shop. You dropped everything and burned it over there, and then you put a little extra juice in the design, and you got it over there and installed it on a Saturday, and and they loved it and they were happy with you, even if it was a mediocre job at the time. But that kind of you treat customers like that, it makes them customers forever, for life.
absolutely,
That's
So,
well said.
absolutely. Mike, any parting
uh,
shots?
I can't say it any better than that. Honestly, like That's a brilliant piece of advice. I think we should probably do a podcast episode on, on that topic, to be honest with you. I think it's something that we've not touched on too aggressively yet. And maybe we can get Tom back to to chat about that end of the industry a little bit. But no,
Okay.
I
Sure.
totally agree. I mean, I think showing up is 90% of the battle. And,
Yeah.
you know,
I can tell you too that I have, and all of us, Bill, Dennis, John, we have the utmost respect for sign people because they have a really unique business, a really unique hole to fill in the economic picture, and they don't get very many kudos. Usually they get ragged on or neglected. But to me, they're some of the most interesting, creative people in the business world, and they do more for how a community looks and feels than almost everything else, maybe even more than the architecture. So, like I say, my hat is always off to every sign person who's out there slugging it out and putting up with all the baloney that they have to deal with, and they're still churning out cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, that's a good parting line. I Tom, I don't even know if I need to ask this, but how can anybody who's interested learn more about you and SignCraft?
Okay, yeah, just hop over to SignCraft.com. Yeah, pretty easy. And
If nobody, if somebody is listening and doesn't know SignCraft, shame on you. Number one, get over to SignCraft right now. Check it out. Do you guys have any like back issues for sale? Like, or
we
those are?
we do. We have about I think it's just over half of the issues still available in print,
Oh,
and
nice.
they're a great resource. You know, I've been meaning to put together some bundled copies, either by the year or something, some packages, and
Oh, yeah, definitely.
work. Yeah, that way we could work the shipping down to where it was affordable because they are expensive to ship. But we'll work on that and get something on the site maybe where folks can get get 20 issues that they can go back through and snag some of these great articles. Because so often when I look back through these articles, these magazines, I see that the great stuff that people have shared. It knocks me out. I think that folks wrote articles and gave away really good, solid ideas and information, and it's a shame that they're just sitting on a shelf somewhere. So, but
Yeah,
we'll look
yeah,
into
you
that.
guys should definitely do that because it's, hey, SignCraft to me was always about those nuggets that you mentioned. Like,
Mhm.
hey, if I could just get one nugget out of the magazine, like that's gonna, I could use that nugget for a lifetime. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
For sure.
that's a that's a good point to stop. Tom, wow, thanks for coming on. This has been great to have you on. I think I one of my goals at the start of the podcast was to have you on as a guest, so I could definitely check that box now. I appreciate you, Mike. Anything else?
I'm just geeking out over here. I don't think I've smiled this much throughout an
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
podcast episode. Like, honestly,
that's
like
Well,
correct.
I don't. It sounds kind of insane to say, but like you and what you've done for the industry. I mean, it's always been inspirational to me. So it's really an honor to have you here and meet you, and we really appreciate your time. Really,
well,
really do.
thanks so
And
much.
we'd love to have you back. If don't be a stranger. I mean, you
Okay,
have
glad to.
Yeah,
more information and knowledge and stories in your head, I can imagine, than just about anybody else in this industry. And I feel like we should, make it like a quarterly thing or something. Just have Tom on and tell us stories from back in the day. Like, how cool would that be?
yeah,
Well, thank you so much, and thank Peter for me. I really appreciate the invitation, and I really enjoyed hanging out with y'all today. It's a pretty good feeling to hear all those good things about SignCraft. So I'm pretty well juiced for the next quarter. So I'm
excellent,
uh,
great. Well, Tom, we appreciate you. Thank you.
all
Thanks,
right.
Tom.
Take care. Thank you
All
Thank you
guys.
right,
for
Take
all
everything.
care.
right, all right. We'll see you.
Bye bye. You're welcome.
All right, so that is the episode. Mike, rapid takeaways, rapid fire takeaways. What are we closing this one with? I feel
I,
like that one was a killer episode.
I don't
know how
even know
else to close it.
where to go with this one. To be honest with you, yeah, that was a like a icing on the cake of my career to talk to him and interview him on that. It was really cool. I mean, he is definitely one of my idols in the industry, and just a wealth of knowledge and history in this industry. I think it's cool to hear some of his stories. I really would love to have him back on and hear more, because I think that guy could probably talk for hours and hours about his experiences and the people he knows in the industry. But yeah, it was awesome. Takeaway, I think he reinforced something that I'm always preaching about, and that is we're selling design first and foremost. We're selling marketing, and if you're not putting your emphasis on putting out quality designs out there, you're hurting your business, you're hurting your customer's business, and the industry as a whole.
100%. Like, if you're not doing the work, if you're not acting like a professional, like it or not, when you take a job from a customer, you are now responsible for whatever outcome they're looking for, whether that's driving more customers to their business with a sign, or promoting awareness for their cause, or even just driving signups to the Pee Wee football team. Whatever that is, like, you've got to rise to the occasion and make it happen. So
yeah, and it's a topic that's come up more than once on this, with our guests. Dan Antonelli, obviously we mentioned, that was definitely a big pusher of that, and it's interesting to hear that continue to come up time and time again, which I think says something. I hope people are paying attention to that. And I also really like that Tom closed it out by saying, just show up, answer the phone,
right.
Do the work.
Yeah.
It's hard for some sign people to do. I mean, we've all been there, but yeah, what a great conversation. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did as well. To me, it was more about taking nuggets from that conversation and taking nuggets from SignCraft. Like, that really resonated with me. Over the years, I feel like when I've tried to, like, take on too much at one time, or like, hey, I'm going to learn this or I'm going to learn that, I always struggled. So, just commit to getting a little bit better each day. And that's what was great about getting the published magazine of SignCraft, was just like, hey, here's one technique that I could probably use in the next week or two for a particular project.
Mm-hmm.
I could be inspired by the rest of it, but usually I always got one nice little technique or layout that I might be able to emulate in my own designs. So
to not take at least one thing away from every issue of SignCraft, I think is impossible, or you're just not reading it. Every one is amazing. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, before we close out, I would like to thank our sponsor, GCI Digital. If you are looking for a wholesale or trade printing partner for large format or wide format or grand format printing, I've seen those new printers that TJ and his team have got. They are massive. If you are looking for a trade printer who has good customer service, like we just talked about, look up printgci.com. GCI Digital, owner TJ Bedacht. We had him on the podcast, episode 9, I want to say. Check him out. If you are interested in being a guest on the podcast, send us an email at hey@bettersignshop.com. We'd love to hear your story. We really like to talk to people. As you could tell, this is like 2 hours by now, I'm sure. If you are a sign shop owner, make sure you look up the Better Sign Shop community on Facebook. It is our free community for sign shop owners. And if you like everything else, take a look at Mike's website, Letterbox Sign Design. Scope some of his work. Just don't steal it. He'll come after you. What is it? DMCA. You'll get the takedown notice. Be inspired. Don't blindly copy.
Thanks, Brent. Sounds great. Love it.
All right. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you.
If you liked this episode, make sure you hit subscribe to get all the latest episodes. And check out our website, bettersignshop.com. Get free resources and helpful tools on growing your shop. Thanks for listening.